This will go down as one of the classic games in NCAA tournament history. UConn and Duke, two of the most storied programs in college basketball. Oh my gosh. Duke was in control the entire game. I'm talking about they're up double 15 at the half. And you're watching it and you're thinking, oh, this is over. Duke's on their way to another Final Four just like last year. And then Braylon Mullins. Oh my gosh. I don't know what in the world. What did we just see? We got to get into all of this. Why they let Hubert Davis go? We got to get into all of this and more on this episode of the Coach Cherry Show.
Get it, just tell me how. When you want it and gotta have it, it's slightly
270. Duke, 10 seconds to go.
Got to cut and run through the ball, and who better than this guy?
Get it into Boozer, back for Saar, ahead, Boozer, that ball deflected and stolen by Mullins. Caravan, 2 seconds, Mullins tosses it up. Oh! It's good! With point three, UConn goes in front.
Utterly impossible.
March means drama.
Oh my gosh, what did we just see? This Duke and UConn. I've been watching, man, what did we just see, y'all? I mean that thing. I said, I mean that thing. Did y'all see how Duke lost that game? There was a time, I'm looking, I'm like, man, I should have put Duke in my Final Four, my brackets. Because I had Duke losing in the Elite Eight. And I'm watching the game and I'm thinking, I should have put Duke in my Final Four. They are dogging UConn. UConn couldn't make a shot. UConn was 1 of 18. Well, they started 1 of 18 from three. They made 2 3-pointers. Obviously, the one at the end was, but they made 2 before that. Alex Caravan made 1 and they made another one in the corner. But before those 2 3-pointers, UConn was 1 of 18. Dan Hurley had some outstanding sets. I don't know if anybody has better sets and runs better action than UConn. They were getting great looks. Couldn't make a thing. They were even missing at the free throw line. UConn's going home. That's what I'm thinking. UConn is going home. There's no way they win this game. I'm going to tell you what I saw. Here's what I saw. UConn called a timeout at one point. There was a timeout on the floor. UConn is still losing. And I'm thinking, you know, they're down close to double digits at this point. Dan Hurley is doing this to the crowd. He's waving his hands up in the air like, let's go. Let's get hype. And I'm like, Coach, you're down 10. But he does it a second time during a timeout. Go back and watch the game. During a timeout, he does it again. They're still losing. And when I say losing, I'm not talking about 3, 4, 5 points. Like they're down. It's 9, 10, 11 points. And he's still waving his hands up like, let's go. Let's go. What Dan Hurley is saying is, we still can win this game. This ain't. Nobody's talking about that. I feel like that was a key part. Because I've seen a lot of coaches in situations like that where they're down double digits in the second half. You can't make a shot. Things aren't going your way. And those coaches are they're not throwing in the towel, but they don't have that energy of we're going to win. Whew, I'm talking about Dan Hurley, y'all. And Dan Hurley is like, let's go. This game ain't over. I firmly believe that spread to his team. I firmly believe that. And I believe his team took that and said, Coach hasn't given up. And when your coach believes in you like that, you're playing bad. You're playing bad. Now, UConn wasn't playing poorly on defense. It wasn't like Duke was on pace to score 80 or 90 points. UConn was not playing poorly on defense at all. They let's go. And at that point, Duke was in the 60s. So it's like, okay, they're not playing bad at all. What was the final score? 73, 72? Duke they scored right at 72. So Duke was on pace to score like in the 60s. That's not a bad. UConn just couldn't make a shot. That's all that was. And so when Dan Hurley's, I said, oh, wow. Okay. That's impressive, coach. UConn never quit. When they talk about the heart of a champion, you saw the heart of a champ. That is a firm display. That is a very vivid, strong display of the heart of a champion. That's what UConn showed. I don't know if you can get a better illustration than that. From an athletic standpoint, a competitive standpoint, I do not know if there is a better illustration of the heart of a champion when you look at how UConn responded being down to do. That is the heart of a champion. I'm talking about in the second half. They're down. We're not quitting. Keep playing. Number one seeds when leading at the half when leading at the half by 15 or more points were 134-0. Number one seeds were 134-0. This is the first time a number one seed is lost when up by 15 or more points at the half. It's a number of things to dissect from this game. Braylon Mullins is an outstanding freshman. He's kind of been under the radar. You look at some mock drafts, you see Braylon Mullins in the first round. Alex Caravan, when UConn gets the steal and they kick it ahead to Caravan, he showed poise. He didn't panic. He could have panicked and thrown up some mess. He didn't panic. He caught it, was aware of the time. A lot of players aren't aware of time and situation. He knew they needed to score. They were only down 2, y'all. They didn't need a 3. Caravan could have panicked and thrown up some mess, but he didn't. Caught it. He swung it over to Braylon Mullins, who stepped right into a clean, slack it, ball game. Ooh, I'm talking about ball game. Let me also say this. I hear a lot of people talking about Caden Boozer. Just hold the ball. He should have just held the ball. Why didn't he just? I'm going to tell you why Caden Boozer didn't hold the ball. UConn was pressing. Not only was UConn pressing, when they pitched it to Caden Boozer, 2 of UConn's defenders run up to him. These are the last 2 defenders on their defense. And Caden Boozer is not even at half court. UConn brings up both defenders. Isaiah Evans and Patrick Gungba are down at the other end, totally unguarded. If Caden Boozer makes that pass to either one, that is a dunk. Ball game is over. Duke was already up 2. Now, I know what people are saying. That's why you don't throw it, Coach Cherry, because you're up 2. Just get fouled, go to the line. I get that. Trust me, I get that. But I'm telling you, I have no problem with Caden Boozer's decision. I have no problem with it. He didn't execute the decision the best. But when he catches it and turns and sees Isaiah Evans, Patrick Gungba, I just throw it down there. They're going to dunk it. We're going to be up 4 with about 2 seconds. That's ball game. You get the dunk. Everybody goes, why? I have no problem with Boozer. The only thing about it, Boozer is not a big guard. He's not a 6'6", 6'7", 6'8" guard. That's not what he is. So when he throws it against bigger defenders, it gets deflected. Because UConn was when they jumped, got the deflection and the steal. There's your ball game. But I hate people are giving Caden a hard time. No, man. And I know people may say that's the play that lost the game. And I heard Caden Boozer in the post-game interview say he cost his team the game. Yes, that is the last play. And you know what? If he holds it, maybe they still win. Don't know for sure. But I can't say he cost. First of all, if you're up 19, 20, you shouldn't even be in that situation. So there's some other stuff to look at before you even get to that play. But I have no problem with Caden Boozer trying to make that pass. I got no problem with that. No problem. When you got 2 teammates wide open down the court, no, I got no problem with that. No, y'all stop that. Now, This Dan Hurley guy. Dan Hurley is going to his third Final Four in 4 years. Did y'all hear what I just said? When is the last time we've seen that? I didn't even look it up. I didn't research it. I said he's going to his third Final Four in 4 years. And let me say this. They lost last year to Florida by 2, I believe. Florida went on to be the national champs. And they took the national champs to the wire. If they would have got past Florida last year, we're talking about a run here that is unprecedented. The last time I can think of somebody going to 3 Final Fours in 4 years, it may be Coach K with Christian Laettner. I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, I believe Christian Laettner went to the Final Four every year of his career. I could be wrong. But that's the last time we've seen. You're talking about early 90s. You're talking about 91, 92, 1990. You're talking about early 90s. 80, that might be from 89, 90, 91, 92. I believe Laettner graduated in 92. But that's the last time I remember that happening. So you got to go back to the late 80s, early 90s. You're talking about over 30 years ago. This man is going to, in the NIL transfer portal era, 3 Final Fours in 4 years. And my goodness, let me tell you something. If he wins it, 3 national titles in 4 years. You now may have to go back to the late, great John Wooden. What coach has won 3 titles in 4 years? I know John Wooden won 7 straight. I don't know another coach that's won 3 national titles in 4 years. Dan Hurley. And let me also ask this question. What does it take to be a blue blood? Why is UConn not considered a blue blood? Is it because when we say blue blood programs, we're talking about who? North Carolina, Kansas, Kentucky, Indiana, UCLA. Duke became a blue blood when Coach K got there. Before Coach K, Duke was not a blue blood. No, they were not. It took Coach K coming to Duke to turn them into a blue blood. Duke wasn't winning national titles. The only national titles they have are with Coach K. That's it. No other coach outside of Coach K has a national championship. Not one. So Duke was not a blue blood. I'm talking about Carolina, Kansas, Kentucky, UCLA, Indiana. Those Adolph Rucks and James Naismiths and who else? What's the other name I'm thinking about? Frank McGuire at Carolina. You talking about all these Fog Allen? That's what I was trying to think of. Obviously, John Wooden, Bob Knight. Oh man, Indiana blue bloods. Duke became a blue blood when Coach K got there. It is now time to consider UConn a blue blood in basketball. You have to. How many? And I'm gonna look this up because Jim Calhoun, quietly on the low, is one of the greatest coaches of all time. You talking about Jim Calhoun? Let me see how many national championships Jim Calhoun had. Because Jim Calhoun doesn't get talked about enough. He does not. When Jim Calhoun was at UConn, 3 national titles. 3. Jim Calhoun has more championships than Dean Smith, than the late, great Dean Smith. He's got more. Jim Calhoun has the same as the late, great Bob Knight. Why is UConn not considered a blue blood? Tell me why. UConn now has 5 national titles. They got the same as Duke. Why is UConn not considered? Something else I want to look up. I want to look up this too, since we're talking about blue bloods. National college basketball national championships. What programs have the most national championships? Because I want to see that. Because it's time. UCLA has 11. Kentucky has 8. Carolina has 8. UConn has 6. Excuse me, Jim Calhoun. Jim Calhoun won 4. I'm sorry, Jim Calhoun. Jim Calhoun has more championships than Bob Knight, the late great Bob Knight, and the late great Dean Smith. UConn, They got the same number of titles as North Carolina. Why are they not a blue blood? UConn has more national championships than Duke. UConn has more national titles than Indiana. UConn has more national titles than Kansas. What does it take to be considered a blue blood? They got to be. Huh? And I'm not going to even say if Dan Hurley wins. Dan Hurley doesn't need to win another one. They have 6 already. And they have it by multiple coaches. All their championships are not tied into one coach. UCLA has 11 championships. 10 of them are with the late, great John Wooden. Jim Herrick won the other one. So UConn fits all the criteria. They're number 3 all time in national championships. Number 3. And they have it with multiple coaches. Jim Calhoun has 4. Dan Hurley has 2. Might get a third one. UConn's a blue blood. On my list, UConn is a blue blood. Now, when we look at this coaching, John Scheyer is starting to get criticized, y'all. John Scheyer is starting to get criticized. Everybody calm down. He can't. See, now what happens is the narrative becomes he can't win the big one. It's funny how that thing turns very quickly. He can't win the big one. John Scheyer can't win the... Y'all, let me say this. John Scheyer is not even 40 years old. He's a very young coach. John Scheyer has only been a head coach for 4 years. I want you to tell me a coach. You may have to go to John Wooden. Tell me a coach that has accomplished what John Scheyer has accomplished in their first 4 years. I didn't say in a 4-year stretch. In their first 4 years as a head coach. Who's done it? John Scheyer was 27-9 his first year, 27-9 his second year, 35-4, 35-3. Won 35 games back-to-back seasons, first time in Duke history. John Scheyer has finished first in the ACC the last 2 years. John Scheyer has gone to 3 consecutive Elite Eights. I'm sorry. He's gone to the Elite Eight 3 times. Last year, he advanced past it and went to the Final Four. John Scheyer is 4-0 in the first round of the NCAA tournament. Had lost in the first round. Tell me another coach that has accomplished what John Scheyer has accomplished his first 4 seasons. Who? Who's accomplished it? See, what happens is you can become so good at something that the expectations become unfair. You mean to tell me you expected John Scheyer to win a national title? Some of you, when John Scheyer got the job, didn't even feel like he was ready. Now, all of a sudden, because he's so good, you move the goalpost. You move it. He's got to win. No, he does. No, he does not have to. He can go. No, he doesn't. No, he does not. No, he doesn't. We're not going to do that. That's unfair. Now, that's unfair, y'all. No, we're not going to say John Scheyer. He's got to win a national. No, he doesn't. When he got the job, some of you felt like he shouldn't even have it. He's too young. He doesn't have any head coaching experience. I can't believe Coach K picked him as the successor. Some of you felt that way. Now the man is showing you he can coach. Oh, he got to win one now. Oh, when did that change? Stop it. Stop it right now. No. John Scheyer is just fine. I know Duke fans. I get it. The losses are I'm not going to say disappointing. The losses they're stunning. Because see, what has happened is John Scheyer is better than you thought he was going to be. And now that he's better than you thought he was going to, here's what you're thinking. Now you're thinking he should be doing what Coach K is doing. Coach K didn't do this his first 4 years. You talk about Mike Krzyzewski? He didn't do this. Okay, well, we all got the internet. I'll go to Google right now then. Since y'all want to question something. Mike Krzyzewski didn't do this his first 4 years. Well, you ain't got to believe me. I got Google, just like you have Google. We'll look it all up. Coach K, coaching record. First 4 years. Okay, here we are. I'm not going to count his years at Army because he started coaching at Army. He made it to the NIT one time in his first 5 years. I'm not going to count that. Coach K, his first 4 years. I told you John Scheyer has made the tournament 4 years in a row, never lost in the first round. Coach K's first year at Duke, NIT. Lost in the quarterfinal of the NIT. Coach K's second year at Duke, didn't even make the tournament. Coach K's third year at Duke, didn't even make the tournament. Hold on. So Coach K's first 3 years, he didn't even make the tournament. His fourth year, he made the tournament and lost in the second round. Coach K lost in the second round his fifth year. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Coach K's first 5 years, listen to me closely, as the late great pastor Bishop Otis Lockett used to say, his first 5 years, his first 3, he didn't even make the tournament. The next 2 years, he lost in the second round. And John Scheyer has been to 2 Elite Eights and a Final Four. And y'all telling me he needs, man, y'all stop that. Stop that right now. John Scheyer is fine. The man is still learning. If John Scheyer is this good in his 30s, oh my, you ain't seen nothing yet. You ain't seen nothing yet. What's that old commercial? You ain't seen nothing yet. You ain't seen nothing yet. Wait till John Scheyer gets into his mid-40s. That's when them coaches start really. Wait till he gets to like 43, 44. Ooh, you better look out. John Scheyer's fine, y'all. Don't do that. Don't give him a hard time. The Final Four is set now. Illinois, UConn, Michigan, Arizona. Coach Cherry, how are your brackets looking? Yeah, I messed up 2 of them, y'all. I do have Arizona in my Final Four. I do have Michigan in the Final Four. I did not have Illinois. I did not. And I did not have UConn. I had the winner. I had Michigan State beating UConn and Michigan State beating Duke. I had the winner of Michigan State, UConn beating Duke. I just picked the wrong one. Brian Underwood for Illinois head coach. Illinois' first Final Four since 2005. Dan Hurley, we've talked about him. Dusty May has Michigan back in the Final Four. And Tommy Lloyd has broken through and has Arizona in the Final Four. If I have to pick, I told you, you go back a couple weeks ago when I started my bracket, I have Arizona winning the national championship. I'm still sticking with that. I think Arizona and Michigan is a ball game. Do you hear me? That is a heavyweight matchup. Arizona, Michigan. Remember the year Duke beat UNLV? That Larry Johnson, Stacey Augmon, Greg Anthony Anderson Hunt, the late great Jerry Tarkanian. That felt like the national championship. The UNLV Duke Final Four game felt like the national title. And I remember when Duke beat UNLV, they played Kansas in the national championship, and nobody really watched it. It was like, anticlimactic. Because if you felt like, I've already had my cake and I ate it too. Duke, Kansas, I remember, was I in high school? I might have been in middle school. But I remember not really being interested in that. Like, we saw the big game already. That's how this Arizona-Michigan feels like. That almost feels like your championship. Like, those are the 2 best. And I do believe those are the 2 best teams in the country, Arizona and Michigan. UConn, Illinois. Now, I will be honest with you about UConn and Illinois. There's going to be some good basketball. If you like the art of basketball, watch UConn and Dan Hurley as they run their stuff offensively. Watch Brad Underwood in Illinois with Keegan Wagler and Peja Stojakovic's son. I believe it's Andrew Stojakovic. Illinois is one of the best offensive teams in the country. One of the most efficient teams. They're like top 5 offensive team in the country. You're talking about high-level offense for both teams. High-level offense in Illinois because they run good stuff and they make shots. High-level offense with Dan Hurley and UConn because they run excellent stuff. If you like the art of basketball, especially on the offensive end. Now, we know UConn's going to defend too. And Illinois is good defensively as well. UConn, Illinois is your game. If you want high-level talent on the floor, like a number of NBA prospects, and I'm talking about first-round prospects, Arizona, Michigan. But I'm gonna keep my pick on the other side. I got Arizona beating Michigan. Illinois, UConn. Illinois, UConn. That's a tough one to pick. That's a tough one to pick. Golly, that's a tough one to pick. Don't want to be a prisoner of the moment because UConn just gave you a classic finish against Duke. Illinois and UConn. Illinois is so good offensively. They may be better than Duke offensively. That's a tough one to pick, y'all. I want to pick Illinois because I think they shoot the ball better than UConn. But I want to pick UConn because of their toughness and their grit. I don't know who to pick in that one. I'm gonna go with Illinois. I'm gonna have Arizona playing Illinois in the national championship and Arizona winning. Hubert Davis, y'all. They did Hubert Davis wrong, y'all. They did. They did Hubert Davis wrong. Listen to this. Hubert Davis's first 5 seasons, he won no less than 20 games each year. Hubert Davis went to the national championship his first year. Second year, they missed the tournament. Got it. Third year, Sweet 16. And then he made the NCAA tournament. The last 2 years, they lost in the first round. He lost his best player with Caleb Wilson. If Caleb Wilson is there, they're Sweet 16, maybe even further. If Duke lost Cam Boozer, where would they be? They would have lost to Siena. If, who else? If Arkansas would have lost Darius Acuff, they're out in the first round. If BYU lost AJ Devonsa, they don't even make the tournament. If you lose your best player, y'all, I mean, let's be real here. Like, let's be real. If you lose your best player, Kansas without Darren Peterson was struggling. Take away Kingston Flemings off Houston, they go home earlier. You lose Nate Ament, when he was out for Tennessee, they were struggling. If you lose your best, Joshua Jefferson gets hurt for Iowa State, they're done. You're done. You lost your best player? Oh, your season? Yeah, I don't know too many teams and coaches that can recover from that. I don't know what they expected. My thing is this. You let go. Who are you bringing in? Who are you bringing in? No, we're not going to do that. We're not doing that. Who are you bringing in? Well, that's Billy Donovan. Tommy Lloyd ain't leaving Arizona, y'all. They're in the Final Four. Why in the world would he come to Carolina with all these expectations and pressure and boosters and donors? You got to win. No, I'm going to stay right here at Arizona where I'm going to Final Fours and winning the conference. And I'm not leaving. Robert Dusty may leave Michigan to come to Carolina with these unrealistic expectations. And now when you go to see, Michigan is happy that they're in the Final Four. Arizona is happy. You go to Carolina, you got to win it every year. I'm not going there for that mess. I'm not doing that. Because you're not going to win it every year. You're not going to the Final Four every year. I'm not doing that. No. Why would those T.J. Otzelberger, why would he leave Iowa State? For what? To go to Carolina with that pressure? Why would Nate Oates leave Alabama? There is no pressure on him at Alabama to win a national title. Nate Oates is not expected to win a national championship at Alabama. No, he is not. No, he's not. If Nate Oates keeps doing what he's doing, he will be at Alabama forever. 25 or more wins every year, going to the Elite Eight, maybe a Final Four here and there, multiple Sweet 16. Oh, he's fine. He'll never be pushed out of Alabama. If he goes to North Carolina, you got to win multiple national championships. Why in the world would I do that? Why? And with the NIL, I can get a player the same kid that wanted to go to Carolina, he can now come to Alabama or Iowa State. Or Michigan or Arizona. I'm not leaving. What's his name? Todd Golden at Florida. Why would he leave Florida? No, I'm not. No. Carolina has this image of themselves that ain't it, y'all. That's not it. Y'all got to switch that. That's not it. Maybe Billy Donovan will come. Maybe Billy Donovan will come. I think that would be a good look for Carolina if you can grab a Billy Donovan. But he's the only one I really see out there that's like, okay, that may be an upgrade. But Hubert Davis is You don't win 20 or more games every year and you can't coach. I don't know anybody that does. The man went 18-0 at home this year. That has never happened in school history, and they got rid of him. Whoever the next coach is, you can't just make the tournament. First of all, you can't miss the tournament. Secondly, you can't make the tournament and lose in the first round, because that's what got Hubert out of there. So you got to you got to go to Sweet 16s, Final Fours, because Hubert, they rave about the job that John Scheyer is doing. In the last 5 years, Hubert Davis has been to a national championship game. John Scheyer has not. And they say the job that Hubert did wasn't good enough. John Scheyer has been to one Final Four. So is Hubert Davis. But they say the job that Hubert did, they're both new head coach. Now I know Hubert is older. They both have the same level of head coaching experience. John Scheyer's done it for 4 years. Hubert Davis has done it for 5. Same level of experience. This is their first head coaching job for both people. What's happening? What's the difference? Now, I don't know who Carolina's going to bring in next, but he better hit the ground at a full sprint, and I mean running. He better hit the ground running. He can't come in and let's give him a year or two. No. You're at Carolina. You got to win now. We'll keep our ears open to see who they bring in. The NBA season is wrapping up. The Hornets have lost 2 straight to the Knicks, and to the Celtics. They're tied for 9th with the Miami Heat. They're a half game out of 8th. Then I don't think they're going to get to that 7th spot. They're 2.5 games behind Philly. Philly just beat them. And y'all, to be real, it's only 7 games left in the season. I think the best they can hope for is the 8th spot. They need to grab the 8th spot. The 8th or the 9th. Don't finish 10th. But they've lost their last 2. We'll see. They're playing well. What I've seen is they're not at that elite stage yet. And that's expected. That's fine. No big deal. They're still growing. I think what people wanted to see this year was just improvement. They've given us more than that. They've guaranteed us postseason play. They're locked in. Because the bottom teams, Milwaukee, Chicago, Brooklyn, Washington, Indiana, they're all eliminated. So Charlotte is in the play. They've clinched a play-in spot. Now it's just whether they're going to be 8th, 9th, or 10th. I would love 8th, but I think 9th is more realistic. I do. I think 9th is more realistic. We'll see how it goes, though. But thank you again for tuning in to another episode of the Coach Cherry Show. Again, I'm your host, Coach Cherry, Jesus Christ follower, husband, father, former head basketball coach, former collegiate athlete, an independent rap artist. Hit that like and subscribe button and tune in every week for a new episode of Coach Cherry Show right here on YouTube at Coach Cherry. Signing off. Until next time, God bless you.
I ain't make a lot, but at least I was paid. Help my confidence. Regular haircuts turned into fades. Now a big smile like I'm winning in spades. Every day I see how the game's being played.